Okay, it was good to take us up for that. But yeah, welcome to Pepper's Echo. It is the NA discussion again. It is Sunday. And welcome to my articulated, very educated, indoctrinated, highly educated, Nelius. How's it going, bud?
I'm doing fine, thanks, Andre. How are you doing tonight?
Always good, always good.
Yes,
and welcome to everybody out there. If you're watching it live, fantastic. And if you're watching the rerun, thank you very much. I have one big favor to ask you guys, and that is like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. Okay, it's nice if you watch it, but I would appreciate if we could do a couple more likes and subscribe. It helps us to get our material out there, and it helps us to discuss a little bit more widely with a little bit more interaction with people as well. So yeah, welcome to Pepper's Echo, the stream that doesn't actually give you the news as much as what it questions things that are happening in South Africa. And Nelius and I actually got to a good little chat the other day after our stream. And we said, you know what, it's really important that us as expats, we're using this platform to try and assist, and that's the best we can do at the moment, although we haven't been out of country long, that it is important that we actually show support and we actually try and generate support. So yes, although we are expats, we are still men in the street, just looking from the outside inside. We do not deal with the big hard stuff. Once again, I will bat you over to a Chris Wyatt, Ronaldo Gous, Roman Cabernet, Joe Emilio, Germ from Germ Warfare. I put the links in the bottom as well again for you to actually get to those guys. They're the big guns, probably with the answers. Many have them. We create the questions. We look inside and we say, this is what we see standing from the street, looking at what's happening. And this is what we see standing in another country, looking into that country from, and as Nelius really put up in a great perspective the other day, in a great way the other day, sorry, that we actually get to see this from a totally different perspective. And it's shocking that what you see and what we see and what we know, the rest of the world is not waking up as fast as what we would like them to be. But it depends on if the rest of the world is dealing with mainstream media or if it's dealing with facts. And yeah, we mostly try and deal with facts, but we might get it wrong. We are open-minded. We are happy to say we're sorry. We're happy to change our mind. We're happy to find a compromise. If you have anything to say, please put it in the comments. I do leave the comments open, so I have had people being able to comment afterwards as well. We've had a pretty good success rate in the last few streams as well, and we thank you very much for that as well, because it's only up to you that our words get spread around. And it is very sad today. We have a very, very sad topic again. But otherwise, Nelius, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, man. I like the fact that you brought that up, how much difference it actually is looking at South Africa from the outside in. You know, using this platform to actually create a difference. I do think that what we do matters. I mean, if you take a look at what Willem Petzer shared a little bit earlier on one of his Facebook posts, you know, people criticize him for and say, you know, "Jy praat net, you're just talking." And he had a fantastic response to that, saying that, look, I received the gift of the gab. I am an articulated man, and sometimes I think the pen is mightier than the sword. And talking about these things might sound redundant here and there because we often hammer on the same issues. However, I think it's very important that we also don't lose focus on what we actually need to be talking about, things that need to be changed. Yes, it's not always going to be a fantastic, wonderful, lovely, laughing, kakpraat discussion, but these things are necessary. And yeah, I would like us to reinvigorate the spirit for patriotism in South Africa among the expat community as well. I think that's something that we can take a look at very soon, and there might be some good news coming up with regard to that in Southeast Asia. But yeah, other than that, doing well. Sunday night might be a little bit noisy here in Battambang, Cambodia, because somebody down the road is having a wedding, and we all know in Cambodia how that goes, man. So yeah, other than that, doing fine.
Great stuff. Yeah, we thought we'd just banter a bit because this evening we have the topic of the, and once again, it's not like we're trying to be first with the news. So please, it's really important that you don't look at us and go, oh, but that was told to us 2 days ago. That was told to us. That we're not trying to be news breakers. We're trying to question and to look from the outside and say, you know what, this is what we're getting, and this is how we feel, and this is what we see, and et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I don't know what to say anymore. Anyway, but so please don't haul us over the coals and say, well, you should be breaking with us 2 days ago. You know, we have a session at 2 o'clock South African time every Sunday. We were fortunate enough to put in a additional session on Wednesday. Was it Wednesday? Wednesday evening? Yeah, you had 2 problems with your tech as well. So we were fortunate enough to be able to put another session in there as well. But and it did come out quite successfully. But we do appreciate the people who've put in comments as well. We do read them. I don't necessarily reply to them all because I don't want to start a conversation in the comments. I really want to have a conversation that's live. But just to let everyone know, it is appreciated. We worked on this evening. We're going to be crossing over, well, not crossing over, we're going to be looking through the fires that have been started in the Western Free State and Northern Cape. And I got video footage that has been sent to me by people on WhatsApp, and I've tried to double check it on Twitter and on YouTube and across the media as well. It all seems to be pretty legit. Actually, the one that I got of the EFF singing, I know is one that Ronaldo Host put together because he actually had the words changed at the bottom. So Ronaldo, I give you all the credit for that video that I'm using, the one with the EFF singing and the translation at the bottom. It is not my work. None of these videos are my work. I've had to just change music on the second one. The first one I didn't change music. So please, Facebook, take this into context of what this is. Do not copyright strike. I'm not trying to entertain anybody at all. But yeah, before we get kicking and screaming and shouting there, bail. Did you hear that one of the guys that were arrested for that young Horner's murder has been released on bail?
No, I have not. Do I want to know?
5,000 Rand bail. You know that the one farmer who has been incited for creating violence and attempted murder, which I don't know where the hell they got attempted murder from, because really, please, attempted murder is when you actually try and kill someone. He's done far less than what Julius Malema has done.
But the farmer didn't let go, right?
But he got bail as well.
Yeah.
15,000. How do you have a murderer go for 5,000? The other one didn't get bail. I think it's because he's got a record of 16 arrests or something like that. But then the farmer who actually was just speaking, now I don't want to say that he was just speaking, I don't want to just take this everybody's side and go for it. Maybe he was sweeping the eyes up a bit, etc., etc., etc. But no, he did not incite any form of murder. So
most definitely not. I don't know how anybody could think that's fair. I mean, look, I'm a person that I do still believe in the judicial system in South Africa, that, you know, some good can still come out of it, but we just get it so wrong sometimes. And yes, these things do infuriate all of us. However, I do also think that it's actually a very, very good contrasting picture that's been painted for us, for those naysayers and those on the left wing saying that no, everybody gets treated equally in court, doesn't matter the color of your skin, your creed, whatever the case might be. But here's concrete evidence to prove the contrary. I mean, one actual murder, 5,000 rand. Standing up for a good cause, and yes, I'm not saying is innocent, but it damn sure did not try and commit any murder. There was no attempted murder. There was no property damage from that farmer's side. And he's off on 15. I don't understand this. The same country who tells us not to be racist, not to be classist, not to. This is what our judicial system comes up with. And as much as it's not fair, I'm actually really happy that we can paint this picture and show the world, guys, look at this. How is this fair? You know, there's absolutely no ground for the left to make any form of argument at this point in time with the evidence on the table. I mean, die skrif is teen die muur.
Hello, Linda. Welcome to Pepazeka. We love having you around.
Linda, welcome back.
We're all like sitting there trying to contemplate if we know you or not, and I'm like, I don't think I can. Let's take a look at the picture. It's a bloody airplane's wing. But anyway, welcome, Linda. It's always wonderful to have you around as well. And Linda says, according to Chris Wyatt, the farmer slapped a policeman or woman. Well, I'm sure his slap was so hard he could have murdered them. No.
Yeah, I know the people
I'm not going to agree with it, and I'm not going to disagree with it. But all I am going to say is there's big problems coming up for false accusations these days as well, because I do have something here that I would like to share, and that is SAP-lede wat lieg oor K-woord nog stap oor weer. So basically, South African Police Defence or Police Services that lied about being called the K-word have had steps taken against them. Lieutenant Colonel Annemarie Oosthuizen is the lady there in the photograph. She's going to open up a civil case against them because basically, in a nutshell, I'm not going to try and read through the whole thing because then I sit and try and translate it, which I'm not very good at. But
just before you go on, Andre, I think it's also important to note for our international viewers who might not know what the K-word is. The K-word in US terms or in other Western terms would be relatively equal to the N-word as the racial slur, as everybody knows it. This is just the South African version of that, which has been, I mean, if you take a look at the penny sparrow, bless her soul and everything, I don't think anybody in their right mind in South Africa would openly call any black person that in South Africa in public. Well, not any one of my friends, family members, people I know. Everybody is so incredibly scared of what comes out of their mouth, you know, to the extent where you try avoid talking or conversing or interacting with certain people. And police officers to come out and say, no, this lady called us the K-word. Moenie kak praat nie.
Okay.
And I'm so happy someone is taking this seriously and actually slapping back. Ironically.
No, well, this is the nice thing about this thing now is that this Lieutenant Colonel Annemarie Oosthuizen, as I said, Renata Barnard, section coordinator of open sector, well, she works for Solidariteit. Oosthuizen is going to be suing them in a civil case as well. Sadisa Tico and Chris Mpana have been given what's opgescoord?
It's a reduced sentence.
Not a reduced sentence, suspended sentences, basically. They've been given, they don't have to serve them. It's not reduced, it's suspended sentence.
Yeah.
And they've been given a fine after falsely accusing Oosthuizen that she used the K-word to pervase, when she was referring to them, basically using the K-word. Both were given 2 years, and 2 years for rechtsleiding. I'm not going to try and go into that. In a class in criminal injury, she's basically against the charge of criminal injury, which is false accusations, and then 60,000 rand fine, and then 3 years jail time, which is obviously suspended, and 30,000 rand. 30,000. Sorry, I'm trying to translate. 30,000 and 18 months of the jail time has been suspended for 5 years, so they don't pay that, but the rest they would be paying in 5,000 rand a month in 18 months. The worst about this is they haven't lost their jobs yet because they have been found guilty. Westhuizen, she had in 2017 a disciplinary process against these two because they, without permission, they just didn't pitch for work, or they came in late. They just didn't pitch for work. And
did you say they have not lost their jobs yet?
No, and I'll get to that now. We can who and are there now, because I really don't want to lose my track of Afrikaans English here at the moment. Sorry. And in reaction to the disciplinary steps that were taken against them, they then accused her of using basically the K word. In the case of criminal injury to Westhuizen, they accused her, laid a case against her, and saying that she used the K word. And fortunately, Elizabeth Sitchele came forward, and she testified against him. And she was later intimidated, and she was even afraid for her life. And this is why we end up losing these cases, because people are not able to actually come ahead and step up and say anything. Fortunately, she did. There's been no actual reprimands done to Tiko and Mopani after it came to light that they lied. Both of them still work for the police. Human Resources Department in Klerksdorp.
My hometown. Klerksdorp, yeah.
Yeah, they said they will give feedback. I don't want to go through everything because this is just basically the hearing, and this is going to happen and that's going to happen. In a nutshell, guys, you can't just accuse somebody of racism these days anymore. They seem to, you know what, if you've got the right backing to it and you actually come out properly, you will find, excuse me, that you can't just go and put your foot in it. The scary part that you were bringing up, though, that I didn't want to let you talk because I didn't want to lose my train of thought, sorry, was that they have been found guilty. Understand, this is a three-year-long case that's been going on. It's not like this month, 6 months later, 2017, they pitched up for work, or didn't pitch up for work, or pitched up late. I think they didn't pitch up for work. And so she flung them into disciplinaries. And they accused her of using the K word, which is even more concerning now. If it wasn't for that Sitchele lady, I don't think she would have succeeded in defending herself, because it just doesn't balance that way in South Africa. But fortunately, the lady had the decency to come up and stand up, even though she was intimidated, her life was threatened just for that. And these guys got basically suspended jail sentences, 3 years and 60,000, of which 30,000 suspended for 5 years, and the jail sentence 5 years as well. And then the other 30,000 is paid out over 6 months, is it? 5,000 rand a month. But they have had no command. They're working in the Human Resources Department in the police in Klerksdorp.
The moral bastion, as we've all known HR, right? Look, I've got a couple of things to say about that. I know a lot of South Africans are going to say, "Oh, is that all they're getting?" No. But we need to remember that this is an unprecedented ruling. As far as I know, I don't think any criminal injury cases have been successfully litigated with regard to hate speech and spreading lies and spreading cuck. So yes, it might not be the severity of punishment that we would have liked to see. However, keep in mind that it's something. It's not nothing. It's not another ignored case that's just been thrown away where the docket gets lost or it gets thrown out of court, or anything like that. So I do see a bit of a silver lining with regard to that. This is once again where the judicial system, I think, at this point in time is being pushed to the point where they can't necessarily just keep throwing things under the rug. Remember that everything's going to start piling up under that rug, and daai dinge gaan ombliksem een of ander tyd. And I think the time is now. The other thing is that strikes me is, look, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not in any form qualified to speak or give any legal advice. But Andre, is it not my understanding of the South African labor law that with any employer, especially if you are an employee of the state, that if you do have a pending criminal case against you, by labor law standards, are you not supposed to be suspended with pay up until the verdict comes out? And if the verdict does come out that you are guilty, which they have been found guilty under criminal injuria, sentence has been laid out, therefore a criminal record is on your name. Are you allowed to have a criminal record and work in the South African Police Service? I think that's a topic we can discuss some other night, but that's something to keep in mind as well. So I just think we need to take the victories. We need to celebrate the small victories as much as we actually complain and cock and carom and revel in, us being the victims. This is where we all need to get a little bit more hope in our judicial system and keep following the routes that we have been following, because not only with this case, with a few others, and I'm not going to jump into that right now, we have been seeing a tiny bit of progress. And this is actually in stark contrast to what we've been seeing for the last 26 years. So yeah, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly, and I think we need to take it for what it is at this point in time, that this is unprecedented, and this does show the average white South African that if you do get nailed with these kind of accusations, that you're not alone. It's an unprecedented case, and remember, when you walk into court and your lawyers need to prepare your case against you, case files and cases that have already been litigated can be used as reference in similar cases. So an unprecedented case like this is a very, very, very good step for us moving forward. I think it's quite a good thing. I don't know, you might differ from me, people might have other opinions, but I do think it's a bit of a silver lining around the cloud.
I'm with you. The war will be won by the victories over small battles. But I would say that it would be for anybody. I wouldn't necessarily classify only white, but yes, they're usually the ones that get thrown under the bus. But you know what, anybody, because you get colored people, you get Indian people, they are all accused of this, especially non-white people that aren't black get accused of this consistently, because they say that they feel that they don't fall into the white section, so that you can now be a racist, but you can't. So they get frequently accused as well, just off the record as well. I don't have too many stats and things like that either. However, and then, going back to the other parts, but I agree with you. The war is won by the achievement of small battles, and yes, it is one small step in the right direction. And it is a fairly big achievement if we actually take a look at it, because nobody would actually want that to do so. Just looking at it from your perspective as well, it is no small achievement. I just wanted to, before we've actually got to get started on tonight's topic as well, but the guys that were arrested for the murder, it is such a tatty and dappled, how should I say, it's a very tatty and dappled looking case and things like that. I stand probably accused by a million people now. I'm probably going to get filthy looks. And I ask myself, are they the actual culprits, criminals? Or has the people who have created that situation committed that crime got so little integrity or such little integrity that they're happy to have actually arranged votes for throwing people under the bus to get their asses clear. Because I don't know, I just have this like, there was that guy from Abu Dhabi or Dubai, whatever, and he came with his wife and she was so beautiful, and next thing she was killed in the back of a taxi, and it was this guy and it was that guy. Next thing it was his mastermind behind the whole lot. So whether they are the actual criminals and whether they are scapegoats or whether they were instructed by someone, I do believe that they need to dig further. They cannot think that just having two people, keeping one, letting one off on a 5,000 rand bail and going, well, you know what, we've done our job. I don't think they've scratched the surface yet. Once again, I agree, it's a discussion for another day. Let me try and get together what I... oh, jeez. Sorry.
Yeah, Andre, just before you start with that video as well, I think an important thing that we do need to note with actually the overarching theme of both of these cases we're going to be talking about is the impact of speech in South Africa at this point in time. I know this discussion has been going on for years in the United States and in the rest of the general Western world. And look, I don't want to say we need to get involved into a speech war right now and start policing each other's speech at this point in time, because I'm a firm believer of free speech. However, I am also a believer in the fact that something like hate speech does exist. In many other countries, it might not necessarily be such a major issue. Look, with the last couple of months, I can't necessarily say that. But speech does matter. Speech has very, very, very far-reaching impacts. And on the one hand, with this case we're seeing right now with the criminal injuria, with these two police officers actually getting sentenced, as well as with what we're going to discuss right now, on the one hand, non-white South Africans have been very, very cautious of their speech and incredibly careful about every single word they say out in public. And I think it's a really, really good thing that the same medicine is being handed the other way, where they also need to see, oh shit, we can't just say what we want anyway. So I'm really hoping to see in the future that the litigation in one case and prosecution actually happens in the next two. But this is actually how important speech in South Africa is. Guys, please don't ever think that your words don't matter. If anybody ever tells me that, yeah, but you're talking, you know what, fuck off. Yes, I'm talking. I'm talking because talking makes a difference. Talking has an impact. What we say leads to different things. We have the ability of changing each other's minds. As much as my mind is open to being changed, other people's minds are being open to change by virtue of by what I say as well. So we need to keep that in mind, how powerful speech in South Africa actually is, especially if tribalism is involved.
Yep, agreed. I'm going to,
excuse my French,
time at the moment, going to start the video. Once again, I just want to disclaim that none of this video footage is owned by any of us, myself or Nelius or Peppers Echo, anything like that. It is built up of videos that were sent or have been obtained by us. Some music has been changed. This first one I didn't change. It was very beautiful to me. And I just didn't find anything that I could actually get into it. And the second one I did have to change. So if you are looking and it's your video and you're going, I didn't put that music and there was no talking in there, I did put it in to actually try and condense, because it's about 5 or 6 minutes long. But this is what it's all about. And yeah. Take a look. It just upsets me every time, though.
Just before you start that as well, I think it's important to notice as a disclaimer too that if you are an incredibly sensitive viewer, especially towards animals, I think that you might want to. Well, actually, I would want you to watch this video to see what's actually going on. But just so that nobody says we didn't warn them, carry on.
Yeah, please do be careful. Go make a cup of tea. Have a beer. Can you, yeah?
You are here, moving in I worship, I worship. You are here, working in this place. I worship, I worship.
Basically, the farmers' trucks who are helping the farmers from the drought. There we go, there they go. That's 11 trucks for the day. They take feed for the farmers in Patsville, which is basically Western Free State, because of the drought effects and trying to keep the animals alive and keep their head above water. They have suffered drastic setbacks and losses, and it has been an absolute traumatic time for farmers throughout South Africa, especially Central. And this is 21st of October. I actually get goosebumps because it's you know what, this is the heart of togetherness. It's everybody helping. You know what? Together. These drivers, no problem at all. Like a saving grace going to the farmers. This is 21st of October. Got 11 rigs out there, and they're proud of it. So am I. Very proud of it.
Well,
12,000 bags.
This is what we as farmers do for one another when we struggle and we fall. This is how we pray and this is how we help when we falter. This is not even what a government does.
There's an account. Sorry, I'm interrupting you. There's an account.
Hold that for a moment.
It is there, but you can pause the, you can pause the video and that there. There's the account.
Yeah.
But you can pause the video and it is there for quite long reference. And even if you are not from South Africa, there's a Swift code as well. If you feel necessity, droogtehulp is basically drought help, dryness help, drought help for the farmers.
Yeah. Drought assistance.
Yeah, it says there droogtehulp is drought help. Yeah, we'll continue with that because this is warming. This is really, to me, is good strong. And then the bottom is what he's singing. At Senegal, that was 16th. Call the fire brigade to burn the Boers. EFF is entering this place and then this happened. Listen to the desperation in these guys' voice. This next guy, despair.
Maar hier het gedraaid, dat we weer op een dood te komen, dat we lekker jaast. Dat is het niveau. Wat we zien, je weet wel lekker die in wat staat echt zo vol. Heel veel. Je ziet honderden duizenden hectare afgebroken. Eerst het wordt vol door Je ziet andere oplossingen die avond van de aanslag van jullie. En jullie leggen soms goed op. Ja, die speelt nog A400 brandel, dus allemaal is nog op kist van de A40 keer. Zij kan maar zeggen dat we zo goed met alles afgebrand was. Ik weet nog niet wat we daar wat is doen. Zo bij alleen voor het. Ja, die staat dan, ze kunnen ze snel bezig om ons te knappen. Het is ook snel heel
Wind activity 2200 last night. This was on Friday night. It's that's basically what the fires on the spreading. So asking to pray, okay, keep your mind to God's. I actually want to read this part here. Sith and Global, whether it's him or not, or if it's a joke account or whatever, I don't know, but it says what Malema is doing is called psychological subversion. It was invented by the KGB. He's creating an enemy for his base. You can't tell your base they need to fight if there is no enemy to fight against. Hitler used the Jews. Idi Amin used the Indians. Julius, he uses the Nazis.
It's almost as if that gets harder to watch every single time, man.
I had to put this thing together this afternoon, and yeah, the reason it's on YouTube is I have a private YouTube account that I loaded onto, and it just seems like the sound works better from there than trying to play it off the system. So that's why you do see it playing on YouTube. It isn't public, it's private that I load them onto, so that's why it plays off YouTube. But yeah, I'm not very great at making it through that video. I'm sort of like punched in the stomach every time I get through it. And I had to go through it a couple of times today.
It's absolutely it's absolutely harrowing to watch that footage, and every single time I watch it, what goes through my mind is, imagine that's your farm. Imagine you have to see that, you have to fight that. That's what you're up against. That's what you lost. I know some farmers who have lost more than 50% of their livestock, which forms a very big part of their income. And the same people who I believe started these fires are the same people who now cannot be fed, or might not necessarily have a job because the farm's gone down the drain. It's one thing to sit there and watch a video, and I sort of feel guilty for getting a knot in my throat about it. But on the other hand, I can't imagine what the people on the ground must feel like, being up for days and days and fighting this and seeing everything you've worked for generations and generations being burnt to the ground. This is the impact that words have. This is what your speech can do. This is what your speech has done.
It's look, I'll tell you straight. I think it's the EFF.
Look, I'm going to stand firm on this point too, unless I get provided evidence that shows the contrary or otherwise. I'm convinced. I am convinced that you cannot tell me that in the Free State Province in South Africa, one of the biggest disasters with regards to fire happens, first of all, this time of year, and second of all, so conveniently right after the EFF nationally, internationally declares, call the fire brigade, burn the boere. What did they do? Die boere het gebrand.
They may not have created it themselves, whatever, but they're sure. I mean, we've just had farmers locked up for incitement to violence. And straight afterwards, and I will show you this tweet as well. I need to probably make it a little bit bigger for everyone to read. It just said South Africa bid asseblief vir ons boere gaan nou nag 2 binne met geen rus. 4 slaan en probeer red wat ons kan. Basically, they're asking the country to pray for them because the farmers are going to the second evening without any rest, and they're busy trying to beat the fire and save what they can. The places like Hoopstad, Hertzogville, Deelsville, Boshoff, they are in flames. Emotions are low, and there is no end in sight. And they are busy with the struggle and starting to lose faith, hope, not hope. Strength is little. Thousands of animals have died. May God be our rescuer. And may He
have mercy on the souls who started those fires.
May have mercy on those who caused it. Because in the next one, it does say there, dit was op Kyknet Nes, it's a channel on the pay TV network. Dit lyk verskriklik, so it was on the Kyknet News, and it looks terrible. Arson seems to be the reason. I don't think fires just jump up like that afterwards. I don't think they just jump up like that.
No.
And I do believe it's incited. I mean, if you're going to tell me that you have jailed a farmer for inciting violence, attempted murder, and then 15,000 rand bail only afterwards, and all that happened was a police van got toppled and burnt, and I'm not saying that is not a bad thing and that is a good thing. I'm stating that categorically that is wrong, that is bad. You cannot do that. But you can do even bloody less when you go and kill animals, when you go and take away food that feed you, or they're stupid enough to think like Julius Malema that I haven't seen the part yet, so I'm not going to confirm it. But as far as I've heard from a lot of people, we went, oh, I didn't know I get my food from the farmers. I get my food from Pick and Pay. It comes from China. No, my China. It comes from your farms that you are wiping out like this.
And look, I'd actually like to ask the question, whereas I've heard a lot of South Africans say, the Boere and the Afrikaners cannot say that when we kill them and when we burn their farms that there's not going to be food left anymore. I've heard prominent YouTubers echo the same sentiment, that it's not really going to be such a big problem because we can just import food. With what money? With what money? Agriculture is one of South Africa's exports, and it has always been. We have always been known, us and Zimbabwe, as the bread baskets of Africa and possibly the world. If we run out of food, how are we going to pay for imports? With what are we going to pay for imports? If we can't even properly manage a 500 billion COVID relief that just disappeared?
Yeah.
How are we going to import food? With what money? The moment money starts going through the pockets of anybody in this government, it disappears. So I would say you should be very, very careful when presenting an argument like that, to purely get yourself out of the other argument of that is, if you kill our farmers and you destroy our farms, we are going to run out of food. Nee, jy gaan nie kos invoer nie, want jy gaan nie geld hê daarvoor nie.
Yeah, you won't do it. We've got no money, and they don't seem to comprehend that. They don't comprehend, and they don't care. Who was it? I actually saved the photo on my phone actually by accident. I should have actually brought it along. a little bit closer, where was some incredibly clever incredibly clever dude, Chinese dude or Japanese dude, who basically said the enemy would burn down his own land or country, his own land, to rule over the ashes.
To rule over the ashes.
And I think that is exactly what the EFF's problem is. Because yes, there's no proof, but my goodness me, when you've incited that, you've got a guy in prison for violence inciting or inciting violence and attempted murder. When you tipped over a freaking police van, he didn't tip it over. Well, maybe he did. I don't know. I wasn't there, so I'm not going to say anything. But when it gets tipped over, set alight, which everyone denies, there's no proof of him or anybody lighting it, etc., etc. However, when a freaking third largest political party in South Africa, when those thugs, terrorists, shout and call commands, which was mentioned the other day on research purposes, that I think it's in Zulu, of course, I'm not too sure, that they actually sing commands out anyway. So, you know, whether it be their little secret, which we know now, or whatever, I don't know. But have that happen, that is inciting violence, that is inciting atrocities. That has incited more with being short-sighted. I mean, how can you're singing "Kill the Boer, Kill the Farmer" when that is already a banned song? Now, I'm not saying two wrongs make a right, but then if somebody had to bring out the old South African flag, their mainstream media would have shat themselves. But they did nothing. The Human Rights Commission, I dare the Human Rights Commission to come onto this stream and talk to us. The Human Rights Commission is worth less than the toilet paper that I use on my ass in the evenings here, because they cannot, they wanted to come in and mediate, but they can do nothing. They let Julius run like a freaking headless chicken all over the place. The ANC, Cyril Ramaphosa, you and you boys, Tele, there's a couple of good guys in your squad. You don't look after them, brother. I shouldn't even say brother, because you're not brother of mine. My brother does better than that. But come onto the show. Come into the stream. I have a lot to tell you, and I'm an emotional speaker. But it's they're all sitting with their heads in the sand, with their asses in the air, and everybody, all they do is get to write a letter, which is an absolute pathetic letter if you take a look at the letter that I did cover in my content video.
It's insulting is what it is.
What?
It's insulting is what it is. It's offensive is what it is.
Slap in the face to your country that you can sit there like a fat-lipped piece of lard.
And when was that letter issued?
Huh?
When was that letter issued?
That was after Senegal, the Monday or the Tuesday after Senegal. When did I do the coast?
But nothing has been said yet from our president. Nothing has been said yet from the Human Rights Commission. Nothing has been said. Nobody has openly come out except for our Buddha organizations. Nobody has come out from government and condemned what has been said on those stages in Senegal. Nobody went as far as to say, listen, I don't agree with this. I don't think this is the direction we should go in. And I do think that Julius Malema needs to be condemned and taken to court. I want to say taken to court for it, but nothing's been done about it. Nothing's been said about it from an official point of view. And on the other hand, you get our farmers, our Buddha, who are struggling immensely under the weight of farm murders, under the weight of the whole political necklace that they have to wear right now. And see how I use necklace there. They are struggling under the weight of the drought. Yet we can still come out and muster the strength to help each other. How is it that us as a nation can come together like that? And this is also not only white. This is a bunch of South Africans uniting together to make a difference in other people's lives, to help them to survive, because they know the continuity of our food supply is of crucial importance at this point in time. The continuity of the expertise of our farmers, I would argue, is probably even more important than that. The continuity of the families on our farms, the next generation farmers, are just as important. And if we can stand together and unite as South Africans and actually do that, show these videos. Andre, what do you think the value is of each and every single truck that rolled out of Boshoff over there? Those are not small amounts of money. I can guarantee you that. And the government cannot assist us with jack shit, not even say anything about these things. But us as South Africans can come together and actually help each other and stand shoulder to shoulder and pick each other up when we fall. I love to see that from fellow South Africans, but it also makes my blood boil that these things are going on, and it's a communist state. It's a communist state where information is being censored that should not be censored, and we're being fed absolute bullshit at this point in time. And I'm sorry, I'm going off on a little bit of a rant here, as you can see. I'm not doing particularly great with this whole subject. The moment you start bringing animals into this whole thing, the moment you start bringing people's property into this whole thing, look, we've seen boiling water being poured down the throats of 9-month-old babies. We've seen old babies being boiled in front of their mothers. But now it's going so far as to, that's not enough. That's not enough. We don't want to take your land. We don't want to take your farm. This has been made very clear by the EFF right now. We want to burn it to the fucking ground. And together with that, we will burn every single innocent animal that we like to eat with our pop. We will burn them too. What kind of message are you sending to South Africa? What message is South Africa taking from this? What message is the EFF supporters taking from everything that's being said by the EFF? Do we now think that there might be a little bit of weight in what we actually say publicly, what we say to the people who support us? Do you want to come and tell me now that talking does not matter and that talking does not make a difference? I dare you. I would love to have the Human Rights Commission on this show. I would love to have, quite frankly, any politician from the ANC as well as from the EFF, and it would be a field day if we could have the four of those on this channel together to actually explain what their motive is behind what's going on. Because what I've been doing this entire time is I've been losing sleep about why. What is the end goal of this? If you want to go to war and you want to attack strategic points, I'm not going to tell you how to fucking do it, but that's definitely not how. What's the point? Why? What are we achieving by this?
You want to talk about losing sleep. When you say pick a subject, and I think, let me just find something easy, I can't take this, and then I sit with these weights, and I know, so help me, I know I've got to face this one. And it is, look, I don't have a Sunday. I don't have a Sunday. Saturday nights and Sundays are basically spent dribbling over this shit, because that's purely what it is. And as I said on Chris Wyatt's one stream, he was talking, and I said, you know what, I'm afraid that South Africa, and I'm not saying it is so, I said I'm afraid that South Africa is not going to come right without some force being applied somewhere. It's like when you're trying to fit something together and it just won't fit into each other. And sometimes you just got to smack it a couple of times with a hammer forcefully, and it goes in and it fits. I know it's a strange connotation to make, but you know what? And I don't know if this negotiation and this table negotiation and these letters and this sweet talk and we'll try and you'll try and we'll do. Somebody's got to actually say, right, now we're kicking ass and this is where it comes from. And you know what, in all due respect, I'm cautious when I say this, because I know I'm going to get beady-eyed, because we were talking when we were looking at General Isak van Zyls' speech, and we were saying, you know, you're a bit right, buddy. It's you know what, I don't mind, but you're a little bit on the right-hand side of things instead of like, you need to reel in a bit. But still, you know, so many people compared him to the ANC. Not the ANC, the EFF, my apologies, to Julius Malema. And I'm sorry, I'm sorry, they're not going to come up for the Burula here and say they are miles away from Julius Malema. They have maybe feeling that it's necessary to show or produce or prepare for force. And sadly, they might be most of this country's hope if something does fly off the hammer. But they have integrity, they have discipline, in whichever way they do it. If they do it in a military way or paramilitary way or whatever tree way, lavatory way if you want to do it, whatever way they do it with respect, with discipline, and with integrity. And they still keep their religion. I am convinced, and I still say it, I said it last stream as well, South Africa lost their religion in 1994 because nothing's allowed to be religious these days. And what did you expect when you chase God out of a country? Huh? And the few that are left that still have that dignity and that integrity and hang on to their faith. It doesn't matter which God you have, by the way. You know what, I'm Christian, but if you're Muslim, if you're Buddhist, if you're whatever, I don't think there is a single religion that preaches violence. I know you want to go down ISIS way and things to that effect, but I've been into, when I did my year of Bible school, we went into the temple and everything of, not Buddhist, Muslim temple and everything, and you go through with this guy. Yes, there is a military wing. If you want to get technical and petty, good couple of years back, the Christians were fighting Christian wars and they were slaughtering people in the name of Christianity. So let's not go on to wings. Let's take a look what our religions are actually telling us. And no religion whatsoever provocates violence, death, destruction, anything to that effect. These are wild,
very true.
wild, non-religious, flippin' atheistic, thugged terrorists, the ANC. The EFF. The ANC is also, they're just as bad because they don't do anything about it. They actually, I think they revel in it. It really makes me sour and it saddens me. This whole video, every time I worked with it this afternoon, it brought a tear to my eye and this big lump in my throat. I sat there and my eyes are like red and everything. And my wife is like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "That's fine, that's fine." "Well, what's happened? You're not looking very happy." It's like, no, it's cool. And it just put a lump in my throat because, as you said, when we get to stand together, it is so, so, so beautiful. It is a symphony of the beauty of our country. It is a symphony of the sun, the hills, the air, the rush that you have within you. And then
I would actually like to go into the psychology and go read a little bit more about the psychology behind this, because angers, I think, all of us, and all ranting aside, I see it's not starting to happen. This is actually progressing, but I haven't noticed it as prominently as I have in, I would say, the last 12 months in Africa. Is they are trying to obviously create a divide in South Africa where the racial tensions get inflamed. They specifically trying to make us the enemy, and they have attacked, as we have seen many, many times, with all of the farm murders and everything, this going on right now. But what they cannot do, what they cannot stop, is the heart of a South African and the hart van 'n boer. To so selflessly help each other out and so selflessly stand shoulder to shoulder and not care about what your race is, pick each other up, help out where we can, your medemens. We end up picking each other up a lot these days. We end up helping each other out a lot these days. We end up standing together in support a lot these days. And I think South Africans might need to take a look at that too, because as much as they are trying to create this division between our races, it just seems to bring us together on the ground so much more. And this is the stuff that the mainstream media obviously will not show us. But I know because I am a boer, ek is 'n Afrikaner. I know how we think, I know how we work. I do not need to know your name, your religion, or anything to be able to help out a lending hand to a person who is actually in need. And that is the spirit of a true South African. And these things have been happening so often, which we don't see any coverage of. And I wonder how this makes Julius Malema feel, and I really do hope it pisses him off so bad that he actually tries a stunt like this again, and this is going to lead to his own downfall. Look, this is costing us so much, and all we can do is talk. But what I also want to specifically ask our international viewers and our expat South Africans is that, listen, we have a platform to talk about these things here. We have important discussions about what's going on in our own country, whether you feel like you want to go back to South Africa or not. I do think that standing together should not only happen within the boundaries of South Africa. Showing support should not only come from certain provinces as well as ethnic groups or religions. I would like to openly ask every South African who is living abroad at this point in time to reach out and make your voice heard. We are offering you the platform to do so, and we'd like to start a movement to start addressing these things a little bit more prominently from our side as standing outside of South Africa. It's incredibly important that South Africans in South Africa also know that we have not forgotten about them. We are still talking about their struggles. Julle is ons mense, julle is ons volk, dis ons land. If we can come together like this as South Africans in South Africa too, I would love to see what can happen if we can actually come together as South Africans abroad to show our support too.
It's a worry when you say that you've actually got to ask is a worry to me. I'm just actually putting across a couple of pictures and that because I want to, you know, we can go around in circles on this thing, and I don't want to go around in circles because we're not an aeroplane.
Yeah.
It concerns me about the, you know, it just portrays the limited or the lack of education in our country, because I don't think, mind you, I stand corrected again, because some of the most educated people make the closed-minded decisions. Once again, our stream of color, culture, or class, and it's not a class, it's not a color, it's not a culture, but definitely a class, but not in a rich or a poor state. It is a class of thinking. Whether you are rich or poor, whether you are clever or not, the thinking behind it is, if you are not open-minded and you have this closed mind, you are unfortunately a class problem and a problem in South Africa, which is leading to this. But then again, when I say lack of education, is that we have not got our nation educated, and that once again I reiterate, even though the forest was going or being depleted, the tree still voted for the axe because its handle was made of wood, basically saying that it's in the EFF and ANC's best interest to keep our country, the majority, poor and uneducated, black and white, and that way they are able to propagate tension and hatred between these people. You were saying that it's a great thing to be able to see and to stand up and to have somebody helping you up. You know what's often the biggest surprise to people, because we act, and I'm going to name us now, and I call us out there, us white South Africans, act emotionally. I'm not saying black people don't, I'm not saying yellow, colored people don't, whatever, but we act emotionally. And then we suddenly want to stand together as white and not as a country and not as a nation and not as a people, because often the hand that gets stretched out to you isn't white. And I'm going to show to you this evening. You've seen the little bit. I've just shown you a little bit more on the fires and that. I didn't want to go into it because I think it's upsetting us all here at the moment. And we're just going around and around and around going, why, how come, why, how come, why? And yeah, I appreciate the fact that you actually changed it to actually just doing a little bit of an invitation, which is what we're wanting to do on this channel, is to invite you to join us. Drop us an email. Join us if you'd like to chat with us. Join us, as Nini said, if you want to at least be a voice in the change. Here's our platform. We might not be big. Hopefully we do grow some, whatever. But at least at least you've done something. You know what, come talk to us, talk with us. If you've got something to say, if you've got something in your heart, and you actually feel, okay, no, I don't want to be on there, but come chat in the comments then.
And look, I would go as far as to say that I would more appreciate people start coming onto this channel, even if you just get involved in the conversation on Facebook, or maybe in the comment section, or maybe send us an email or a message, especially if you disagree with us, especially if you are not a white South African, because I think as much as we can talk amongst ourselves, there's another YouTuber who constantly says this as well, as so as to not get caught up in your own echo chamber, ironically Pepper's echo, but in order for us not to get involved to get trapped in our own echo chamber, I would absolutely love to have people with different opinions on this channel to show, not only talk, but to show that the way that we can reach consensus, the way that we can start fixing problems and standing together shoulder to shoulder as South Africans, and not as whites, blacks, or Christians, or whatever the case might be, the way we're going to show that is by having some discourse, by having constructive conversations and unemotional arguments even about these things, with the intention of reaching consensus, of meeting each other in the middle some way, to get middle ground, because middle ground is the ground that takes us forward. I would like us to start having those conversations and not only just have an echo chamber. So I would invite people, especially expats living abroad from South Africa, and especially if you're not white, not Afrikaans, not Christian, come on, let's have a chat and let's see how we can bounce ideas off of each other, of how we can show our support to South Africa.
Yeah, I agree. It doesn't matter what color, what nation, who you are. You know what, and even if you're not an expat and you've just got a view and you've got a heart for South Africa, please don't feel that you're excluded either. We are reaching out because many expats actually get to a country, as Ninia's pointed out the other day, we were talking, and you know what, they dust off the dust off their shoes and go, well, that's me, done with that country. Yes, you know what, we all want to feel that way as well, but somehow, somewhere, there's a little piece of our heart that is left behind. And you are not done with the country, and the problem is a lot of expats are not done with the country, but don't know how to support. Yes, if you do disagree with us, that's fine too. And if we don't come to a consensus, that's fine too. If you haven't changed our minds, if we haven't changed your mind, that's fine too. At least you've put a point of view out there. At least you're in the game. And that's more than what you can say for a lot of people sitting on the sidelines. If you just come in, just put in your comments, just come in. You can come in and have a chat with us. We'll see. It's very easy. You don't need anything loaded onto your computer. You can even do it via cell phone. I send you a link. You click on the link, and voila, you're in with us chatting. We can take up to 8 guests, excluding the 2 of us, so we can be 10 people together. And yeah, you know what? We'd like to get some of the big guns on here, and I do believe that some of them might even come on here as well. But I don't want to pull them for the numbers. I'd like to pull them for the reasons. And yes, so I fully 100% agree. You know what? You can do something. Have your voice heard. Be a part of, at least, you know what? If you're doing nothing else, if nothing else comes from this, at least you're saying, I'm standing for South Africa from this point of view. At least you're standing for something. Whichever point of view it is, come on, tell us, talk to us. Let's get the NA discussion going with a few more than just Nelius and Andre whining about what's happening in South Africa, getting really, really worked up. And yeah, something, Nelius, that you mentioned is we've got to be careful about being emotional. I get emotional as well. Nelius, you get emotional as well. It's not the right steps to take. We need to be able to hold each other accountable for our actions, and it's emotions. And when emotions run high, and if they're running high behind a keyboard, I don't want to know how high they run when you're flat on the ground there by the situations. Sorry, I just put up here, it's called Pack a Box for a Boer, Pack a Box for a Farmer. Many farmers have lost their what's specific?
Possessions, assets.
Yeah, possessions, assets in the fire, and you can help by packing an emergency box for a farmer. And this is an initiative by AfriForum, and I really enjoy what these guys have done. Just talking about it, AfriForum, I think, is actually putting out or taking charges against Julius on this fire song and everything as well. But a fantastic initiative by these guys. I really think they do some great work. I'm all for them. I know sometimes people think, oh no, no, they're for the country. They honestly do.
AfriForum is doing incredible work for South Africa, and I applaud them every single time.
So what I want
They really are doing fantastic work.
What they're asking for here is to pack a box, and not later than the 30th of October, and you can drop it off at AfriForum's head office in Union Avenue, Union Avenue, number 58 Union Avenue, Kloofsig, Centurion, and that will be in Pretoria. I would suggest if you can't do that, maybe get in touch with AfriForum. I don't have any details. Once again, AfriForum, if there's one of your guys or somebody that we could speak to that could come onto this platform and just tell the people about it, tell them about, you know, what support can expats do, how can you do, what do you expect, and how are you going forward to open the world's eyes a bit. But yeah, so get into contact with AfriForum if you want to maybe help them monetarily. But the things that you can put into the box, if you are able to, is toiletries, tin food, rusks, maybe a biscuit or two, coffee, tea, sugar, long life milk, and some over-the-counter medications, headache tablets, antiseptics, things like that. They've lost everything. So this box is like a little treasure chest for them. And on the
I'm pretty sure it's also not limited.
Yes.
To those items. However, those are the items that they would need the most. And I will go as far as to say, look, I do still have quite a lot of friends and family in Centurion. If you feel like you're not going to have time with your schedule because you work and it's traffic and I know how it goes, if you're not going to have time to deliver that, but you can actually help out with some of these items, I will personally make sure that somebody in Centurion gets in contact with you. I will personally make sure that your boxes get dropped off. I will go as far as saying I can arrange that too. So you can't use the excuse that I'm not too busy. I will extend the courtesy of having that picked up at your place of employment, at home, wherever the case might be. I can commit to that as well. I can make that happen.
Okay, so great. Yes, I agree. It's not limited to that, but most of the items that you can pack, or you can actually open a box in your house and pack it from your house. It's most of the things that we just take for granted. And as Nelis has just extended the hand of assistance there, if you can't make it, don't want to make it, haven't got the time to make it, pack the damn box and get into contact with us. Peppers, Echo, I do have the address here, I did it up all nicely. There we go, peppersecho@gmail.com, and they're going to be, let me just take this away for a second. The box is on the 31st of October. They will be dropping it off to the area, Free State, the hardest hit. Yeah, I was trying to figure out brandgeteisterde, basically fire-torn areas in the Free State. So well done, kudos to AfriForum there for once again spearheading an initiative. Okay, to finish off with, we were talking about help and assistance comes in all colors and kinds. And let's take a look at some people who are prepared to take a stand, who you're most surprised at and you don't expect will do so. There's a young man by the name of Petrus Sito. He hiked to Boshoff to come and help the farmers. That's from Toes River in the Western Cape. He hiked to Boshoff to come and help the farmers, to help them make a stand. He lost his job actually after the 16th of October when he took a stand, and then you can see, and please, Nelis did say to me, explain that is part of his protest.
Put the picture in context, yeah.
In chains, or he's not a slave or anything like that. It is part of his protest against farm murders and the murderers of the Hornet chappie. And there he is with the farmers, and he was fired, terminated from his job, and it doesn't say who, because he stood up with the farmers against farm murders. But yesterday, and this was done on the 23rd, so it was on the 22nd when they refer to yesterday, he packed up out of East London to Boshoff to go and help the farmers whose farms are burning. One man. Now, how many people can say, I decided by myself to go and make a difference? I can't make a difference, so I just won't. He's one man.
And not only make a difference, to walk there and make a difference.
Yeah, you got a friend, Francois Peterson, from Toes River in the Western Cape, and they decided that they will go and help the people in Boshoff in the Western Free State. He doesn't have a place to sleep. He's just been dismissed from his work because he was he went to support the farmers' side or the boers' side, or side that was against farm murders.
Farming community,
yeah, and he lost his job. He doesn't know where he's going to stay in the evening. He says, we just hike. Ons het sommer gehike. We just hiked. Well, first of all, to hike in this country right now is an absolute suicidal mission almost. You're not going to come out without being damaged somehow. But yeah, by the grace of God, he got to Boshoff. He's in Boshoff now. And after he's heard about all the desolating fires that are happening in the area, and he's helping with the collection of food and water and other essentials for the farmers as well. He even gets anxious. It says his voice, sy stem raak benauwd. He gets anxious when he talks about the fires, because he asks the question, and the question is, weet al die mense ooit hoe dit hier lyk? Do the people know what it looks like here? That is by act. It is very, very grave. It is very bad. The fires are causing extreme damage. The communities that are being affected can use everybody's help. He's absolutely shocked at the desolation that this fire has caused. He's also confirmed that he has lost his work. Here it says, hy het bevestig dat hy sy werk verloor het, maar wil enige regstappe neem nie. So he's not going to take any legal steps. You know, he says it's God's way to show him what to do. Good fun. You can hear he gets actually excited, it says here as well, when he starts to talk about what he stands up for, which is nice, which means he has a heart for it as well. He's totally against farm murders and violence. And basically as well, he says that the government does not do enough. He says President Cyril Ramaphosa himself needs to go to Boshoff to go and see what's happening there. Now, Boshoff is a very, very, very small town. It's a farming community. And he says Cyril Ramaphosa needs to come there. And he says Cyril Ramaphosa can come and talk to me. I'll tell him everything. So, he was off to go and do some more of his, what he wants to do. He says basically he wants to be an example. And he will try and help where he can. He says, but the president needs to see this. He's going to be in Boshoff for about 2 months. I'm just going to get back to his photo, Pietro Sito. So guys, it's not a cover.
That man deserves a standing ovation. For that man, I will fight shoulder to shoulder.
You know,
this is what the South African spirit is. This is what I was talking about earlier.
We're not prepared to talk too loudly because we might have a difficult time at work. This man lost his job because of his commitment.
Not only did he lose his job, he lost his job. He walked, as he said, he just hiked. He walked all the way there. And for those of you who do not know, go onto Google Maps and go take a look at how far East London is from Boshoff. He walked there.
When you say hike, you hitchhike. but still, it's the most dangerous thing you can do in South Africa at the moment.
I
Probably
just
caught
want
it.
to say, in South Africa, I would rather walk. Thank you.
Yeah,
No, he didn't lose his job. He walked. He helped out. He went there without knowing a single soul. He doesn't even know where he's going to sleep. Yet, God put this man in a position where he felt that his shoes had no other duty but to walk to go help his own people, South Africans. And I do believe that if we get our heads out of our asses and stop being keyboard warriors, stop being overly emotional about everything, and actually start recognizing and seeing things like this, seeing the power of the South African people's resolve, and if we actually start helping each other out like this, who knows where we could end up? This, this is how we are going to fix South Africa.
I think it is being able to direct our emotion in the correct direction. Yes, the ANC does jack. Yes, they've got to do a lot. Yes, the EFF are a bunch of terrorist, violent, insinuating thugs. Yes, the courts can not help themselves as such a bunch of puppy dogs. Yes, the Human Rights Commission is an absolute atrocity and an embarrassment to this country, to the country of South Africa. But we need to take a look, as you said, at things like Petrus, at things like the racist, false racist accusation, which was won in court. We need to stand together and direct our emotion in the right direction. We are so busy fueling the wrong tanks, the wrong channels, the wrong lines with our anger, our bitterness, and I know it's easily said because I lose it as well, and I don't want to be the preacher, but if we are able to just stand together and direct our emotions and put our strength and our concentration, our focus on what we are wanting to achieve together, we will get there. South Africa needs to stand together, and the problem that we saw again the last time was that this country doesn't have people. The minority can't even stand together, and the majority can't think together. And if we can just take our emotion and channel it, we will have people, more people like Beatrice. We will have more people that are putting away naysayers, false accusers in jail. And we will actually be able to return to our country, to be able to work there, to be able to retire there, to be able to say, this is the land I loved, and this is where my heart belongs. And this is what we have been hoping and praying for, not fighting. We've been standing together. There is so much that can be said. Nelius, once again, you opened up this evening with saying words can be so powerful. And all I need to say is, we are doing no more. We are now living. And I think we can basically leave it at that. We've got Petrus, and he's the happy part of the evening that I tried to bring in, because we've had such a, I try and just lift a bit afterwards, because
yeah, it's not easy talking about these things, man, but it's necessary that somebody does. And yes, we get emotional. It's not a bad thing. I do think it's a very good thing that we get emotional. It's just we need to understand that we need to channel these emotions in the right directions. It's a very prominent thing where a lot of people think it's a bad thing to get angry. It's not a bad thing to get angry. Your anger is the part of your psyche that actually indicates to you that you love yourself, because your anger is the one that shows you that you are being wronged. Your anger is the emotion that cares enough about you and the things you care about that indicates to you that you are being wronged. And that emotion in the first place psychologically has been installed in us by our Lord and Savior, as I believe it, to actually take action and to actually stand up for those that don't have the voice to do so. And I do think that we're seeing a lot more of these South Africans not only standing up, but walking the extra mile to prove how powerful we are. The South African resolve, those are my people. That is my nation. Behind that, I will stand every single day of the week. It's important, like you said, that our words carry weight. We need to understand. I think we clearly proved tonight on our show that yes, our words carry weight. And if we understand that our words carry weight, and the fact that we should not run away from our emotions, anger specifically, and actually just use them to indicate the correct way forward for us, South Africa can see a difference happening if more of us start thinking that way.
Indeed. I am not going to add any more to what we've got here. I think we've wrapped it. The question is it possible for the EFF to do that? It's up to you to push that one through. We've given you the views there. Is it possible for South Africa to stand up without violence? And how are we going to get around this never-ending flood of terrorism, which is really mostly created by the third biggest political party, and the biggest political party is rolling over and accepting it. But who am I? I'm a man in the street from the outside, looking inside, trying to ask the questions.
That's it. From the street, dedicated Nelius as well. Have a fantastic night. Thank you, Andre. That was a necessary stream, I feel.
Well, till next week, if we don't bring out any content, we will try and bring out a content, if not maybe a surprise live, but otherwise we'll bring out a content this week as well. Otherwise, we shall see you next week, same time, same place, 2 o'clock South African time, 7 o'clock Cambodian time on the Pepper's Echo. Remember to be good. If you can't be good, at least be kind. Cheers.